Ghislaine Maxwell is doing from behind bars exactly what she and Jeffrey Epstein did their entire lives as disgusting criminals. And that is blackmail. But here's the thing, that blackmail is starting to leak out. It's becoming very clear that Maxwell is trying to use every bit of leverage she has to get herself out of prison. And believe it or not, we are actually seeing more and more talk within Congress and this Trump administration about a potential pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, it is absolutely insane that we have even reached this point. But then again, look at who the Attorney General is right now. It all comes down to the information Maxwell is holding over their heads. We are going to dive deep into those connections in a second, but first, I want to do something that honestly we should all be doing a lot more often, and that is mocking Joe Rogan for his revelations about this administration. I am fed up and I am furious with the way this guy carries water for these people. After we look at this pathetic Rogan clip, I also want to show you what Todd Blanche is trying to push on the public before we get to the Maxwell files and Marjorie Taylor Greene's scathing rebuke of this administration at the end of this video. We have a mountain of evidence to get through today, so do stick around. But first, I just really need to mock Joe Rogan.
That whole Epstein thing is so crazy that no one's gone to jail for that.
It's pretty surprising that they're still not releasing it.
Here's what's crazy. No arrests, no one's like being brought in. Meanwhile, Comey is getting arrested for a photo of seashells that say 8647.
He's getting arrested for that?
Yeah,
What's
he's getting
86?
charged.
What's 8647?
86, get rid of. President 47.
But you could say kill. But 86 is, if you get fired, what happened to Mike? He got 86th.
Right.
It doesn't mean you got killed. But this is a crazy thing to arrest someone for.
Of course.
FBI arrested in Virginia. Appears briefly in court.
Well, they already had it out for him.
I know,
They're just
but
looking for any excuse.
This is
Yeah.
problem with these
100%.
guys is it sets a crazy precedent.
Yeah,
for them to do that.
That's the precedent. That's the worst. Like, that's crazy.
Are you serious right now, Joe? You just can't believe it? Oh, how are we focusing on James Comey and not prosecuting the rest of the Epstein criminals? Why are we talking about pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? I don't know, Joe. Maybe it's because the guy you endorsed for president literally wished her well on national television? Did you forget that the man you backed said he'd be spending his entire presidency hunting down his political enemies while playing the biggest victim in the world card? Did none of this click for you until now? I am so sick and tired of these people. Honestly, if you waved a set of car keys in front of Joe Rogan, you'd probably have his full attention. These guys aren't leaders, they are sheep, they are cattle. I'm done with these sudden realizations that don't come with an apology or a single second of actual action. And then you have the nerve to go to the White House. If you're so outraged about Donald Trump wanting to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, why didn't you say it to his face? Why are you still praising these people? They deserve zero respect. Now look, I think we should capitalize on these moments when they start to wake up. I think we need to get on their platforms and push them even harder. But my God, I am not giving them an ounce of credit. Especially when you had the perfect opportunity, Joe, to push back on a guy like Todd Blanche for saying something like this.
I know that you have the authority to go ahead and release more, do you not? And you have the authority to go to Congress, perhaps?
No, we have released everything. So listen, we reviewed 6 million pieces of paper. What we released was anything associated with the Epstein files. So there, we are not sitting on a single piece of paper. Nothing that should be released. If we find something else tomorrow, we'll release it. I don't anticipate we will. So the misguided assumption that there is more to be released is because we reviewed millions and millions of pages within the department, millions of which had nothing to do with Epstein. So it's not as if we looked at a document and said, you know, we're not going to release that. If we didn't release it, it's because it was not responsive to the law and therefore not part of the Epstein files. What we've done with Congress is by law, we had to make certain redactions, by law, including of victims and of PI information. But we said to Congress, any congressman can come in and spend as much time as they want looking at everything unredacted. And if you think we should be doing something, Congressman or Congresswoman, let us know and we will do it. And so we have that. I don't know how this department or this president can be more transparent than saying, American people, here's every single document in our entire database. And if we had to redact it because of victim names, anybody can come look at it if you're a member of Congress. No restrictions, unredacted.
I want to squeeze
When even the talking heads at the Fox propaganda outlet are looking at you with skepticism, you know you're in trouble. Now look, I don't think the folks at Fox are always the brightest bulbs in the room, but even they understand what's happening right now in Congress. They can see that Mike Johnson and James Comey are starting to soft pedal this insane idea of pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. And while Todd Blanche is out here whining about 3 million files that he supposedly can't release, and let's be clear, when he says can't, he really means won't, they are simultaneously floating the idea that, well, maybe Ghislaine Maxwell could give us some good information. Are you kidding me? Donald Trump could testify if he wanted to. Melania could testify. You could simply release the damn files. That would be the best information we could possibly get. But we all know why that isn't happening. Because they have blackmail hanging over their heads. That is exactly what we are seeing in this latest breakdown. They aren't looking for the truth. They are looking for a way to keep the lid on the blackmail. Leaked email suggests Ghislaine Maxwell plotting to sacrifice big name for freedom. Famed reporter Julie K. Brown obtained a leaked email penned by Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell while in prison last year. An email Brown theorized that might be a clue to the convicted sex trafficker's plan to secure either a pardon or other reprieve from a 20-year sentence. Republicans on the House Oversight Committee recently signaled an openness to offering Maxwell, who was found guilty of 5 federal charges related to sex trafficking minors, clemency in exchange for testifying under oath, which is ridiculous. In a report published on her Substack recently, Brown predicted Maxwell will ultimately receive a pardon or other relief, citing an email she sent her sister last October. I found this note she wrote to her sister from prison back in October that hints at what Maxwell has. Brown, whose reporting helped lead to Epstein's arrest in 2019, wrote in her report. In the email, Maxwell requests of her sister Isabel Maxwell that she send Leon's emails etc. stuff to Leah, noting that one day the spigot will dry up. Brown concludes that Maxwell was referencing former Apollo CEO Leon Black, long a client of Epstein, who's been accused of sexual abuse by several women but has denied any wrongdoing. Black has also been close friends with Donald Trump for decades. As for Leah, Brown concludes Maxwell to be referencing Leah Safian, a friend and lawyer of Maxwell's who helped draft her recent appeal for clemency. Does this mean Maxwell knows that when the spigot of evidence Congress has dried up, they will look to her for help? Brown wrote. Brown also pointed to the recent reporting on Prince Andrew, who was stripped of his royal title after new details emerged about his past relationship with Epstein. The journalist who broke the story on Andrew, Brown noted, was Daphne Barak, an Israeli-American journalist and trusted friend of Maxwell and her family for about 20 years. In fact, Barak is one of the only people to have interviewed Maxwell in prison, with one of Maxwell's brothers acting as a conduit. Brown wrote, "Why would Maxwell leak emails about Andrew to send a message that this is what is at stake if she remains in prison?" Maxwell's lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, told Politico last week there's a good chance and for good reason that she should get a pardon, and Trump has not ruled it out. Ghislaine Maxwell is clearly sending a coded message. Either she is signaling that she is ready and willing to blackmail Trump with dirt on one of his closest confidants, someone who was an Epstein co-conspirator and a regular client, or she's trying to convince the public that she has crucial information Congress needs to hear. But let's get one thing straight. This Congress doesn't need to hear a single word from Ghislaine Maxwell. She is a proven habitual liar. She perjured herself during her own trial. She's perjured herself on multiple other occasions. She is the literal definition of an untrustworthy source. But watch what the Republicans are doing. They are building the pretext right now. They're going to look at the cameras and say, we need this information from Ghislaine. And then the next step is, well, if we want her to talk, we have to pardon her. And you can bet your life that once she's out, the information she provides will be a glowing, saint-like review of Donald Trump. That is the absolute quid pro quo happening in real time. And Mike Johnson is 100% in cahoots. So is James Comey. So is the entire Republican conference, and especially Todd Blanche. I mean, come on. Blanche is Trump's personal attorney. We know exactly what the game is here. For the longest time, Trump tried to pass the buck and blame Pam Bondi for all the problems and delays with the Epstein files. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, who shockingly is actually making sense for once, is making it clear that isn't true. Everything starts and ends with Donald Trump. This is exactly why Joe Rogan is such a complete idiot. This is why his constant sucking up to Trump is so repulsive. Because even someone like MTG can see the truth, and she just went on a massive tear calling out Donald Trump. We need to take a look at this because it is an important reality check on the man Rogan calls a hero.
Well, it was the most shocking thing when I sat in a conference meeting and I learned that the president didn't want to release the Epstein files. I was like, what? Yeah, come to find out, he was very much against it. So we kept on trying and kept on talking about it, and then the president told Mike Johnson, no, do not bring that resolution to the floor for a vote. He told the Rules Committee, and Johnson told the Rules Committee, no, you will not mark up any bill in the Rules Committee that will allow the Epstein files to be released. And the resistance built and built and built. He told Pam Bondi, don't release the Epstein files. He told everybody, don't release the Epstein files. So we persisted because that's what we promised. That's what we campaigned on, transparency and accountability, especially to pedophiles. How is that complicated? So it got to be such a gigantic amount of resistance coming from the president and the speaker and everyone, the DOJ. I said, fine, I'll do the unthinkable. I'll go over there and I'll sign my name on a discharge petition that all the Democrats are signing their name on. Talk about crossing the aisle, me, a general in the MAGA army, crossing over to sign my name with a bunch of Democrats. Yeah, I did. Because women were raped when they were 16 and 14 years old. And he was a convicted pedophile, and we knew there were many with him. So I signed my name on the discharge petition. Oh, did I get my name on the naughty list then? Let me tell you. That became a real issue at the White House. Well, I'll never forget it. I was in my office in the Rayburn building, and I got a phone call from the president. And he was at the White House, and he wanted to talk to me about the discharge petition that I'd signed my name on. And he said, Marjorie, you're going to have to take your name off that discharge petition. We can't let, this is a hoax. We can't carry this. This is a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. And we've got to just put this away and stop doing this. And he said, my friends are going to get hurt.
It all goes back to Trump. Every single road leads back to him. And that's exactly why it's so infuriating to watch Republicans try to push the blame onto the periphery of the administration. They're out here saying, oh, poor Donald was really let down by Pam Bondi. She didn't do her job. Kash Patel is a joke. He failed us. They want you to believe these people just screwed the pooch on the Epstein files. And then you hear them complain that the Epstein PR is bad. Are you kidding me? Stop talking about PR. They aren't managing a public relations crisis. They are covering up a predator. They are covering up the president's own connections to a pedophile ring. It is ridiculous. It is disgusting. And the blame rests squarely with Donald Trump. I'm not saying those other people aren't committing crimes. They are. But whose idea was it? Who is giving the orders to execute this massive cover-up? It is obviously Donald Trump. He is the one pulling the strings, and he is the one pushing right now for a Ghislaine Maxwell pardon to keep the lid on his own secrets. At the end of the day, it all starts and ends with Trump. And we are going to continue to call it out on this show every single day until there is actual accountability. If you want to support this mission and help us grow independent media, hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a like on this video to help us beat the algorithm. And for the real ones who stuck around until the very end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Do not let them silence you. I'm Liam Prescott, and I'll see you in the next one.